Welcome to In Her Voice, a podcast created for women who listen to and live by their deepest wisdom, their inner voice. This was made for you, the woman who feels pulled to more, to lead, to create, to dream, and to be a world changer. My name is Kelly Covert, and I am an inner voice coach. Join me here each week as we explore what it means to reach for your inspired potential, all while honoring your worthiness each and every day. Well, hello there. This is Kelly, and you're listening to In Her Voice. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for being here every week, for giving yourself this time, for allowing me to share my heart and my purpose with you. It means so much to me. Today, I have my good friend Stephanie Dodd on the podcast, and we're talking about an amazing practice that she has developed. I can't wait to share it with you. And it's all about really what we can do to help put the brakes on life. You know what I mean? Like when things just start to feel like they're going out of control, and that we're not really sure how to stop. And instead we just feel anxious and overwhelmed and all of the things, right? I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Well, this is the antidote to that. Let me tell you a little bit about my good friend Stephanie. Stephanie Dodd received a BA in marketing from Penn State University and an MS in psychology from Walden University with the intention to enter the counseling profession. By the time she finished grad school, she found using complementary and alternative modalities helped her begin to transform her anxiety and seasons of depression, and thus began studying with healers around the world. She is a Reiki master and teacher, certified matrix and birth matrix reimprinting practitioner. She's a 200-hour yoga instructor. She's an EFT tapping practitioner and a human design practitioner. She's worked globally with men and women, helping them to unlock the blocks to loving life through energetic and intuitive healing. She also has worked as a heart-centered sleep coach and published a 7-country international best-selling book, Good Baby, Bad Sleeper. In her programs and coaching, she taught parents tools for decreasing both their and their children's nervous system response system to help achieve healthier sleep. Now she teaches sensory deprivation yoga and meditation while speaking to groups sharing the Dodd Protocol to happier living. And that's what we're talking about today. So let's get right to the interview with Stephanie Dodd. Well, Stephanie Dodd, welcome to In Her Voice.
Thank you so much. This has been a long time coming, and I'm so excited to be with you.
No kidding. So just for those of you who are listening, Stephanie and I are deep soul friends for a long, long time, like in-person friends. And I wanted you to be on for so many years now, and here we are.
Here we are. Thank you so much.
So you're welcome. And today what we're talking about is how to access your inner goddess. Doesn't that sound fantastic?
It sounds so delicious.
So why don't we start with what is our inner goddess?
Oh, you're just going right to, I think, the biggest question of this podcast, but let's just start there.
Right.
And
yes.
I think how I want to answer that question or reword that question is not how do we access like all of our inner goddess, because it's such a personalized thing. But I think as a general whole, for me, my inner goddess is just this place of full on locked in trust, clarity, intuition, knowing. It is like direct access to source, to God energy, but in this like super soft, feminine, loving kind of way. For me, my inner goddess is like one of my most confidant best friends.
I love that. And who doesn't want that, right?
Yeah.
So here's my question to you. As you know, you teach women now how to access their inner goddess. And don't worry, you guys, we're going to get into the nitty gritty of the tools. But I would love for you to share with us just a little bit of how you discovered the importance of this for you.
Yeah, I think that it's so often. So I have a background in trauma work going back 10 plus years is kind of where I started on my holistic healing journey, both for myself and for helping and working with other women in this world. And I think that it's a very common thing that we are all in our heads and not enough in our bodies. And it's kind of the way the world is set up for us to work right now. So we're bombarded with information. We have access to everything in a matter of seconds at our fingertips. And that's a really beautiful thing, but it also means that we're not going inside for the answers because it's so much easier to Google. And I have this image right now of me as a brand new mom sitting on my couch holding my baby, going to Google for all of the answers. When 8 years out from that now, from those very first days of being a mother, it's like, oh, I knew this stuff all along. And in fact, I often found answers that maybe didn't serve me best at the time, but it's what all of the blogs were saying.
So where did you find yourself when you recognized, oh, wait, I can't keep doing this anymore?
I think it's been very incremental steps along the way, as so many of our journeys are. It's funny, I remember 1 year in when I started like really diving into self-healing of being like, I've done all this work. Why isn't my life perfect now? And so I think, every year it's like, oh, I've been doing this work now for years, and we keep learning. So I want to answer that question with going back to probably the most recent pivotal moment in my life. And that was about a year ago. I had just had my third baby, and I found myself in a moment of pretty deep depression, which is, I think, often a culmination of an anxious mind, overwhelm, feeling depleted, and that little hump in our life just extending out for a period where I truly found myself in a state of depression. And I just knew that I couldn't keep going. I couldn't even be in conversation with you or any of my girlfriends without crying. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong. I'm using all of the tools. And what I chose to do at the time is I had 4 days of babysitting set up to leave my baby for the first time, who was almost a year old, to go away with my husband. And tickets were bought, retreat was paid for. I looked at him 2 days before and I said, I cannot go. If I go, I'm going to come back even more depleted. And I said, I think what I'm really needing, what I'm hearing from inside, is I need to get away and be by myself. And so that's what I did. And that silence helped me get rid of the outside world, get rid of the sensory overload, get rid of the internet speak, get rid of everyone else's energies, we'll say, and really just come back to me. And it was such a pivotal moment that 6 weeks later I did it again. And that is where I got the download for what I call the Dodd Protocol to happier living, which is really my daily practice of resetting, of reconnecting to my inner goddess.
Okay, so I want to dive right in because I know people are really curious about what it is that you discovered, this protocol that you speak of. So why don't you take us through it and then talk us through how it works?
Sure. What the purpose of this protocol is really what we do is we are going to deliberately deprive ourselves of certain senses that are often always turned on, and intentionally amplify other senses which help us come back into our bodies. So as I said, I think we've become so desensitized to all of the noise that is going on in our lives, right? We wake up in the morning. So many of us are moms. We have kids like immediately needing our needs, being like, mom this and mom this. And it's excitement energy, right? Like they're so excited to reconnect with you. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is how my day is starting. And then most of us, whether we are at home with our children or we are at work, we are always on, right? People are giving us information. People are needing our information. And we have forgotten that there's something really magical about being turned off from being on all the time. But yet so much of us, we've kind of become desensitized. We just get up and we go, and this is what we're so accustomed to. So what that does to our bodies on the inside is it essentially tells our nervous system to also always be on. And when our nervous system is always on, it's like having a lightning bolt like through your body at all of the time, and we just don't even know how to turn on. And then we have at nighttime sleep issues, right, is one of the most common solutions that this protocol helps solve. For the women who have been using it, the number one thing that I hear from them is, from night one, my sleep has deepened, lengthened, and I wake up feeling more restored. And it's because we're actually deliberately turning our nervous system off and telling our body it's okay to shut down. And so
wait, I want to pause right here because I want to just pop in with this question, because it's funny. I was just talking yesterday to a woman that I know who is amazingly smart and driven. She is a lawyer. She has her own business. She's, does all of these extra things. And, we were standing in the check-in line at cross-country camp for our kids. And so we had like an hour that we got to hang out together for a little bit. And she said to me, at one point I said, wow, I don't know how you do all of the things that you're doing. And she said, Kelly, I don't like to be still. It's a problem. And I think she's not alone. Why do you think that as women, we are so resistant to shutting off, to turning off like you're talking about?
I think it's super hard for us to know how to turn off. And so when we are still, I know that the smart, driven woman is not alone, right? This is a societal issue that we have. And we don't know how to turn it all off. So when we attempt to sit in meditation, we sort of start shaming ourselves because we can't actually do it, because our mind's still racing and it doesn't feel good. So it's actually an easier practice to just keep going, because when we keep going, we don't actually have to feel with our body. We can think with our minds, and we can think that we're feeling things. How often do you say, I feel as if? But what you're really saying is, I think as if.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so spot on. So spot on. It's not that we don't want to turn off. It's that we don't know how. So how do we do it?
Let's dive right in. So I've created this protocol. I call it the Dodd Protocol to Happier Living, because for some reason my creative mind is all that came up with it when I've named so many things so many different ways. But what it truly is it's a protocol that it's hard for me to say I created it, because I felt like in a moment of 36 hours of just silence and being alone, it was almost like it was gifted to me, of like, here's what you do to get to this all of the time. Because let's just be super honest and transparent for a moment. Being able to have 24 to 36 hours alone, away from your family, possibly in a hotel room, is not a convenience that most people have. And so it was like I threw my hands up and I was like, so how do we do this without having to do this? Because this isn't something I can teach people, right? And this isn't something that's sustainable. And so what came through to me in that moment was so super clear. And it's, we intentionally and deliberately deprive ourselves of these two senses. We take away the sense of sight and we take away the sense of sound. And how I do that is by putting in, it does not have to be anything fancy. It can be things that you already have at home. Your earbuds that you use to listen to your phone. That can be a way that you put in earplugs. I use a sleep mask that wraps around to take away the sense of sight. If you don't have one, you could use a scarf. You could just use something that helps, because we are a society that is trained to be on. And so when you hear a noise, your instinct is to lift an eye just to check in. And so by having an eye mask on, you really are telling your body, like, we're taking that away. Then what we do is we amplify two other senses. using the sense of smell. I use this through essential oils. So essential oils or any type of smell has the ability to directly get into your inner brain, which is where all of our emotions and memories and all of that like messy intertwinedness of everything is stored. And when you directly use a sense of smell to speak to that system, it's like a letting go of itself. And when we actually learn to let go is when we're okay with being still. Right? So I doubt that this woman that you are in line with, I bet if she knew if I could learn how to let go, I would enjoy being still. But instead we jump right to this point of like, I don't know how to be still. And so I'm just not going there.
Mm-hmm. So, well, and I think, sorry to interrupt, but I think to bring up the point that you brought earlier, it's not only that we don't know how, it's that when we try, it feels like failing. You know, so there's also that dialogue of like, I'm bad at this. Like I'm not doing it right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For so many women that I talk to who want to meditate, it's almost as if I spent 19 minutes trying to get into the zone for 1 minute to be in the zone. And then my time was up.
Yeah.
Right. So I struggle
yes,
for
me.
a tiny bit of success. And I don't want to keep setting myself up for that.
Yeah.
And so the practice of meditation, which has been scientifically proven to reduce so much of our own anxieties. And then, I mean, you look at schools who implement meditation and behavioral problems just like drop. So back to this protocol, we also want to amplify the sense of touch. So I think as a society, we are kind of deprived of a lot of human touch that has that magical spark that says like, I gotcha. Mm-hmm. And so often, you know, we were taught as kids to hug ourselves, but that's as an adult. I mean, maybe it feels good to some, but it doesn't give you that like heart electrifying place within you. And so I have taken from Donna Eden Energy Medicine, one of her techniques, which is created to turn down your fight or flight response system. And so it is simply taking the palm of your hand and starting at your temple and just rubbing behind your ear and down your neck and specifically out like where your ring finger energy line is, so that you come down your arm and you swoop out that fourth finger. And just doing that 3 times on each side in and of itself is it, because it turns off our fight or flight response system. We are back to a neutral baseline where we can think clearly and make decisions like from our insides, not from our thinking head. But when you combine that with the sense of smell and when your other senses are turned down, it's amplified. And that amplification is what allows the vibration of it to be sustained for a longer period of time.
Mm-hmm. So I like to get into the nitty gritty. So when you talk about the smell piece, like with essential oils, are you diffusing an essential oil? Do you have it in your hand? Like, how are you doing that piece of it?
The way that I personally do the piece of it is I put 1 drop in the palm of my hand, and then I just rub it between my palms. That's the most basic way. So then you bring your hands to your nose, you inhale, but also every time that you are doing this sweep down your arms, you're also, the start of that every single time, you're inhaling and you're smelling that. And so what I found in the beginning of this protocol and what I see for so many others as I teach it is like the first few times you do this, you are doing that sweep all of the time. We call it the triple warmer smoothie. And so you are smoothing down and turning off your fight or flight response system almost the whole time because it's not used to being turned off and staying off. And so you're really getting the smell all like throughout the whole process. But even over time, what I've noticed as that need to do the triple warmer smoothie decreases, even having your hands in your lap because your senses are being attuned in a whole new way, that sense of smell gets stronger and stronger and stronger.
So, and does it matter what kind of oil you use? What, like, scent?
So for most people starting off, I just say, like, use what you have. Pick a scent that smells good to you because you were called to that for one reason or another. We can get very specific, and we can use scents for specific scents and also alarm points on our body where you could place the oil in a certain place for things like anger, for things like feeling alone, for feeling disconnected, all like every emotion that so many of us don't even know that we're having because we're not actually feeling them. We're only analyzing with our minds. But once we get through like the first steps of just learning how to turn off our nervous system, then we can start more easily accessing like, oh, what am I feeling? And I find having a list of emotions is really helpful because so often we were only taught maybe 10 main emotions, right? So I have a book called Releasing Emotional Patterns with Essential Oils by Carolyn Mine, who is a chiropractic so she uses alarm points and works with the Chinese meridian system. But what she has done is she has paired specific oils with specific emotions. And so I kind of call that step 2 of the Dodd Protocol to happier living. But if you think that you have to do that, and if you think that you need to have these oils, and if you think that you need to be able to name the emotion, you're probably not going to do it. So I say start with whatever you have. Often people have lavender, often people have lemon. Lemon is like the oil for anger. And anger is often one of the emotions that as women that comes up so often that we push down right away.
Yeah. Because, we're not supposed to be mad ever.
No.
Okay. So like quick recap, we put our earbuds in, we blindfold ourselves with a scarf or a sleep mask. We get a drop of oil, any scent is fine, whatever you love, in your hands. And then you do this sweeping motion from the temple. And I picture it like you use the opposite hand to opposite side. So temple, behind your ear, down your neck, down through your arm, out your ring finger, 3 times on each side.
You got it. And if you want to see a visual of this, I do a video of this that anyone can grab as well.
Okay, great. We'll definitely link to that in the show notes. So then I'm doing that. So how long do I have to do this for?
What I have found, and this is for me and for many of the people that I've taught, is 10 to 12 minutes of this protocol actually gives you the benefits of 30 to 60 minutes of meditation.
Yeah, that's my kind of time value right there.
Yeah, let's just right? Because we've got too much to do and not enough time. And if you can feel like you've got, so it's like taking that 1 minute of those 20 minutes of your meditation and extending that out. So imagine what that would feel like. And even for experienced meditators who have tried this protocol, what their response has been is that I get into the zone within a minute.
That's fantastic. Okay, so honestly, sometimes 10 minutes even seems like a lot. In my mind, I might say, well, I can't do 10 minutes. Why bother? Is 5 minutes worth it?
5 minutes is absolutely worth it. And what you're going to see is even if you do it 2 minutes a day, what we're doing is we're retraining our nervous system. And so what we're doing is that our alert system, we're teaching it how to turn off so that every alarm that happens in our life, the alert's not like, "Pah!" Right? And so even just a few moments a day starts, it's essentially you talking to your nervous system saying, I'm back in control. Thank you for all that you've been doing for me all of my life, but I'm now in control and I'm learning how to turn you off unless it's an actual immediate danger to me. So this way, when you're confronted by somebody at work, when your child's tugging on your shirt, saying, Mom, 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 interrupting you for the 20th time that day, you're not as quick to spike. And when you're not as quick to spike, that also takes away this guilt pot, when we spike so quickly and our reaction is bigger than what the action was, then we feel guilty as women. And so just a few moments a day of doing this protocol, over time, you will see huge benefits in how you are reacting to everything that's coming at you. And we can really just call that another sense in this world, all of that, everything that's coming at you.
Yeah.
And we learn how to tamper that down.
Well, it's like you said, I think you said you're retraining your nervous system. And I like just how that sounds. You know, all of my listeners know I'm a woo girl. Like, I don't mind not knowing how things work. But if it's like woo plus, maybe that's what we need to call it. Woo plus. Like
it's a little bit of woo plus some science.
Yeah, that's my favorite. Because I
Yes.
feel like, okay, it's magic and there is a clear understanding of why it's working, of how it's working. And then I think you probably get even more that can't be subscribed by science.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing in my mind is that like the science is actually the bridge to your inner goddess, because I know that for some of your listeners who are right there in the woo with you, they're like, access my inner goddess. Yes, ma'am. My hand is up. And then you've got other listeners who are like, I don't really know about this whole like goddessy, energy kind of thing. But if the science can be the bridge to get you there, and if the language is really what we're doing, is we are turning on your inside so that with your whole body, we're bringing like all of you, and integrating it fully within you so that when you know something, you know something. You don't waste time doubting it. We waste so much time doubting ourselves, from everything from what to wear to what to eat to did I make the right decision? And this helps take it away. And so I just want to say, I think what you will also find as a benefit is you'll have more time in your day.
Yeah. I would bet that. I would bet that also. And, I think that this is another tool that everyone can use to access their inner voice. That's what we're talking about. I call it your inner voice. You call it your inner goddess. It's all of the same. It's semantics.
It is semantics and how we see it in our mind's eye, right? Because the pictures and the visualization is also a tool to help us get there. And so, yes, it is all the same.
So I have a question about when you're in the process. So like when you're doing the Dodd Protocol and you're sort of in the process, is the goal for your brain to be quiet?
That is such a beautiful question, because I so often think that when we're in meditation, the goal is for your brain to be quiet. What I have found is that the goal is to quiet your mind every time it speaks up. And so it might be your mind or it might be your body. So the goal is not actually to quiet your mind. The benefit is that your mind gets quieted throughout your day. And so for me, when I'm in the process of it, every time my mind starts to try and speak again, I shut it down with the triple warmer smoothie. And once you try this, I think you'll be really surprised just how much you start to let go, how much that brain control power of like, I want to speak, just like lets go. And then the other way is every time your body starts to speak. And I think that this is a really important conversation that is probably a whole nother conversation. But when we have people of trauma who sit in meditation, who start to get into their body starts to respond in a way that maybe does not feel safe. Right? Because their fight or flight system is now, it's like amplifying. And so I also say like often people will feel like their throat is closing in. People will feel a pit in their stomach when they're sitting in, it might be in meditation, but really I find it in this protocol. And so every time your body starts to talk, you shut it down again with that triple warmer smoothie. And it's like taking control back of saying like, I'm in charge now. Like, thank you so much. But like, I'm back. Yeah. I'm back and I am fierce and I have got this. And the benefit I have found is so much more of a quieter mind. So I recently gave a talk to a group of people on this protocol, and the talk was on a Wednesday night. So by Sunday, I ordered all of my eye mask and earbuds. And I was like, oh, I'm doing good. It's going to be here on Monday. Like, I'm actually on this. That for me is great timing. What happened is Monday, I got an email from, one of our biggest distributors that does next day and 2-day shipping. And it was like, I'm sorry, there's a problem with your shipment. If you don't have it by Thursday, let me know. My immediate response was to email them back and be like, this is outrageous. And right. And then I was like, hold on, take a step back. That only lasted about 10 seconds, that control part of me that always wants to be on. And then I was just like, I've given this talk before without eye masks, without earplugs, and it's gone fantastic. So if it's going to show up, it's going to show up. And if it's not, it's not. And instead of it being like a mental talk to myself, my whole body felt that calmness of just like, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. And it was one of the first true experiences I had where I was like, oh, this has nothing to do with the protocol that I did this morning. This has to do with the buildup of the protocol that I've been doing over the past 8 months. My body is actually reacting in a really calm state instead of me having to talk it into it, right? Instead of me having to spend all of my time using all of the tools to get it there.
Yeah. Ugh, that's so good. The word that keeps coming up is surrender.
Oh,
right.
Yes.
It's like a shortcut to surrender. Really.
Yes.
And that's such a powerful place. And I think so many of us, I mean, I'm not calling any of you guys who are listening to this, but I would say I tend to be a little bit of a control freak. So in my head, I'm just going to call this the Dodd Protocol for control freaks.
Yes, girlfriend. Yes. So much control. It's an underlying theme in my life as well. Yes.
So when we release our need to have to control everything, things are so much easier, and we can be happy and we can feel joyful even when things aren't perfect, which that's what life is about, right? It's never going to be perfect. And so I can't wait to start doing this more in my life. I've done it a couple of times. I will let everyone know. And then I sort of fell off the practice just because it wasn't top of mind for me.
Sure.
But I'm excited to dig in deeper. Maybe I will give myself a 30-day challenge or something like that.
Yeah, that would be so fun to do with everyone. Anyone who wants to do it, email us and tell us you want to do it, and then maybe we'll do it because we can really listen to our crew and our people, and that's what just fuels things. Mm-hmm. I think it is easy to fall off of any practice because we have so many tools available to us that we kind of try and do them all.
Yeah.
So one thing that I will bring to mind about this protocol is I do feel like it's cumulative, and you can fall off easily and you can get back on easily, because honestly, just a drop of an oil in your hand and doing that triple warmer smoothie, so we're talking 30 seconds or less, can bring you back to that pure place, right? Because it's just that thing of telling your body, I've got you. I'm here. Mm-hmm. I am here. And so, yeah, just keep that in mind. Let yourself off the hook and you just get back in. I find if I do 10, 12 minutes for a week, I'm often pretty good for a little bit of time that I can do the shortcut 30-second to get me through.
Yeah.
If until then, again, I'm like, oh, I need to dedicate a week to this.
Yeah, I love that. All right, well, so I'm going to keep my eyes open for that challenge. Just in case you wanted to add a little bit more onto your plate.
So here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to wait. I want to listen to your people. So you know how to email Kelly. You'll figure out how to email me because it'll all be in the show notes. Yeah. And if we get a handful of you that's like, yes, let's do a 30-day challenge, I know that we will do a 30-day challenge together because there's so much power in all of us gathering together and sharing our experiences.
100%. So why don't you let people know how they can find you, how they can connect with you? Because I'm sure that we're going to have a lot of interest in this Dodd Protocol.
Yeah, thank you. If you go to Steph Dodd, STEPHDODD.com, you will find all of the information. There's a contact page, and you can sign up for a It's less than 10 minutes video that walks you through exactly how to do this if you're a visual person. Because I know our time in this world is short, and I want to keep everything kind of as concise as it can be.
Mm-hmm. And then you're also on Instagram. What's your handle on Instagram?
I am at Mrs.Stephanie Dodd.
Mrs.Stephanie Dodd.
Yes.
Okay, and we'll link to all of that in the show notes, so you guys can go chat with Stephanie.
Yeah.
About
full disclosure on that, though. I'm thinking about changing my Instagram handle to SD Yoga and Meditation. So just check the show notes. If you don't find me.
We'll have the correct link in the show notes, because I record these quite a bit in advance. So, all right, Stephanie. So here's my favorite question. In your life right now, what is your inner voice, or as you call your inner goddess, telling you?
You know, I knew this question was coming because I'm such an avid listener of your podcast. But in this moment, here's how I want to answer that question. One of the practices that I've been doing to get myself to hear my inner goddess is first asking myself, like, why is this important? So the question I'm asking myself is, why is this so important for this information to reach and connect with all of, your people and the people in the world? And the why that it's so important to me is because I know that when we change all of this noise that's coming at us for ourselves and for our kids, I think it really comes down to our kids, at the core of it. We really have a chance to impact the future, right? And so it's like, why is this important to me? But then I go to my inner goddess and I'm like, so what do you think about me having the chance to impact the future, right? Because it's like, why is this important? And she's just like, you're already impacting it. Like, you don't need this podcast to reach out to like hundreds and thousands of people, all of these things that you think is so important to you that you're holding on to so tightly. Like, my inner goddess is telling me, like, you are such an impact in this world. And just keep doing everything that you're doing. And you're good, and you are whole, and you are connected. And it's just like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. That takes away all of this pressure for all of these other things. It's just like, we are all that.
All of us. All of us. Yeah. Oh, Stephanie, my friend, my soulmate, thank you so much for being here with me today and for sharing this beautiful wisdom with us. I am excited to use it in my own life, and I'm excited for our listeners to do the same, and I can't wait to see what will happen as you create more impact.
Thank you. It was such a blessing to be here with you, my friend.
So I will say, I have practiced the Dodd Protocol. It is awesome. And I really want to encourage you guys to check it out. If you were unclear of the process by talking about it, I'm a visual person, so I get that. Go to Stephanie's website, because she has a free video of how to do it. And let us know. Tag us in on Instagram at Kelly J. Covert. I can't even say my last name today. At Kelly J. Covert and at Steph.Dodd. And let us know how it's working for you, because we want to know if you guys are taking what you're hearing on this podcast to the next level, into practice, into your life, because that's when these words really make a difference. I can't wait to hear about it. I also want to do a little teaser here for you guys, and that is, I have something really awesome coming your way. I 100% thought it was going to be done this week and that I would be able to share it with you today on the podcast, but my voice was not cooperating. Last week I lost my voice. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I was having some troubles with that. I was under the weather and I completely lost my voice. And this is going to be, there's an audio component to what I'm working on for you guys. Of course, I'm an audio girl. I love recording for you and making and creating things in this media for you. So I just want to let you know something's coming. I want you to stay tuned because I feel like it's going to be life-changing and it's going to be easy to access, and it's really going to help you stick with your practice of connecting with your inner voice. And that's what I want more than anything. When you are listening to your inner voice, you understand that you matter, that you have everything you need right inside of you right now, and that the answers that you seek are there. Remember, you are worthy.